basket again. We worked with it in design school early in the spring, and I couldn't wait to make something else with it. Now this is the medium size, and we're gonna have this all together in a kit so you can buy the whole project in a kit and make it really super simple. And because I know I'll want to change this out for different seasons, I'm using a block of foam that I'm not going to glue in. But if you want to make it where it's a final piece and that you can sell it later, or you're going to use it for a while, then you'll resell it, then what you want to do is glue that in so it's very permanent. That's the only thing that doesn't come in the kit. You'll have to grab your own foam, but you'll get all the flowers and all the supplies you need here. I'm going to start out with the greenery. So that is these two right here, these longer pieces. Now, if you've never made a centerpiece before, don't worry. It is not as hard as it looks, especially when you start with a really super cute container and you got some gorgeous florals like we've got here for you today. So what I want to do is I'm going to break these apart to kind of get started. And I want to think about my height in this design. Where am I going to go with the direction? That is the stuff I teach in design school every week, so our students can really learn how to create beautiful designs on their own. So I'm going to start with a little height in the center. And I got my glue skillet off to the side here. And I can go ahead and start by putting a little of that in. So I'm going to start right up the middle. Okay, and get a little height created. And then I'll take a couple of the smaller pieces and we'll kind of work from the center out. And oh, look how pretty already. We just got a little bit in. This is like the perfect greenery for this container because it's got that deep brown throat in those leaves. It's a lot of times the little details that you get when you're putting a piece together. It's amazing how it can make a difference. And you guys, wherever you're watching this video, make sure you like, subscribe, you follow us, so that you won't miss more wreath making floral design videos, because I am always teaching you. And then when you're ready to move on to the next level, we'd love to have you in design school, where I break it down step by step so you can use the tips and tricks, but then you can learn the principles that we're working with. So you too can make beautiful things every week. Okay, I'm doing what we call shaking hands, and that means I'm taking my pick and breaking it up and spreading it out. That's what I'm doing right here. Because we try to sell high quality materials, and we want to make sure we can manipulate them and like move the wires around. So important. So we can make them look jazzy. And you're going to want to get on our text list and or our email list, because on those you won't miss when a new video comes out. So today, depending where you're watching this video, it is live some places, but other places it's going to be recorded and presented in an edited video. So you won't miss one if you're on our list. So go to textkelea.com. That's textkelea.com. I'm going to add a little more height back here. Because of the way the container works, I mean, we want to maximize that. We want to work the height in the back. And I love breaking the plane. Like, I teach that in design school. We're talking about overlapping, letting things feel more organic and not such a formal placement. That's kind of my niche and specialty. So you're going to see me do that all the time. All right, let's put a little more, I think, right in the front. I'm loving this chartreuse green in here. Oh, it's gorgeous. Okay, that alone is really pretty and organic looking. And now we're going to start to add the pansies in. So I've got the pansy picks. And these are also going to come in your kit for this. And I'm going to break these up into 2 pieces. You could do 3 if you want, but I'm going to stick with 2. So we're going to do that first. Start to break these down. And these have this silver dollar eucalyptus, and then they have this long leaf eucalyptus, which I love that, and we can really utilize that. And you want to pull these pansies up front. Start to put them in. Okay. So here's a couple coming, and I'm going to open up the silver dollar. And I got a little bit of the grass in here. Mixed sprays are so fun to use because of all the value you get in them and so much going on. So let's kind of rotate this around a little, and I'm going to bring a little to the back here especially this one that has the longer leaf, because I want it to be able to kind of break the plane. Now, if it breaks the plane too much and it comes basically overlapping way too much, no worries, trim it down a little and just come in and put it in the foam right near the edge. So I kind of have to reach through the little bit of the willow there, but see how cute that looks coming out? I love that. All right, and then I'm going to take the more flowery part and kind of have it go right underneath it. So we're just kind of breaking down the spray to use all in one section. You guys, it has been a crazy week around here where we have been running wild with the kiddos. And when I say the kiddos, that's because I'm helping kind of semi-chaperone the tennis team at most tournaments that I'm going to. And so, you know, investing time into each child, even though they're not my kids, but I can see some of their parents can't make it to the games, and I understand. I've been that way in the past where I couldn't get there. So how just that little bit of attention that they get, just knowing their name, like when you know their name and they don't realize you know them and you're rooting for them, they lighten up. Like their faces get so excited and they're so happy that you're there rooting for them. And so I really made more of an investment in those kids, and not just my own, of course, she's number one, but I've enjoyed kind of getting to know them. And I got a little taste of that last year during tennis season, but I really have embraced it more. And it's just so sweet when they get that little bit of attention. And it's just like us out on social media, that when we just get a little bit of action or we get another little sale, how kind of excited we get. And it just takes so little to motivate us when you feel like you're hustling but you're not getting, you know, the results you want. So just know, you guys, I'm always rooting for you too in your handmade businesses, and that just use any little spark to help bloom your creativity out more and more. And know that if you could give a little attention to a creator that you like or someone you watch online, it could be even just a comedian or somebody who sings, a musician, or maybe you go to your local high school and you watch a soccer game and you root on those kids. Whatever it is, you know, you'll be directed in your life what way to go. But if you'll embrace those moments, I tell you what, you get back so much when you just give just a little time and attention. It's amazing. Oh, look how pretty. So we're just working our way around. We've got one more, and I'm going to put the last pansy back kind of in the back here on that side. So just kind of making it shorter and letting those blooms pop out. And then we're going to get down to putting our next bush in. We got to do this first. But it sure is filling me up, giving other people's kids attention. And they're not even BFFs with my daughter or anything. It's just, I could see that they were loving a little bit, you know, Miss Newhouse, and you know my name, I know your name. It's that simple. It really is that simple. And sometimes I can't watch them play their whole game, but I can say, how did it go? Like, were you excited? It's kind of that way for our design school students when they go do a craft show, or they have a big win, they sell on Etsy, or maybe they get to do their daughter's wedding, whatever it is. I love to hear about it and root them on too, because we can all celebrate in those victories, whatever they are. All right, I'm going to rotate it around. We're going to come around the back, and now we're going to put this pick here. So that's the main key I'm doing, is we just got to break it down a little smaller. And I wanted to poke out some, but not too far. It's a little tricky, but if you just come from the front and kind of support your pieces as they go in. And listen, my foam's wiggling around because remember, I don't want to make it permanent in here. But if your foam is stuck in there a little bit more, you won't have to worry quite as much. I'm going to put one here. Now, you could make it outside of the container and then put it in, but I think I like to know where all my little openings are here going to be when they fall into the design. This is just so stinking pretty. You can also make this, guys. I'm always coming up with other ideas. You could leave a little spot open and pop you a little battery operated candle so it would not be flammable, but right there in the center, how cute would that be? I love that. So we're just filling this all in around. Our next step is going to be to put in our allium. And I love using this bush because it creates these little balls. And you know how much I love like moss balls and little chunks of moss and different heights in our arrangements. That's what this is going to do. It's going to create some depth, and it's going to be adorable. Now let me show you these. Now with these, they have this plasticky looking leaf, but if you just push it up by the head, it's so cute. And so just go ahead and push them all up and make these cute little poofs of lovey goodness. I'm just addicted to this bush. It comes in several colors. I think this is called the purple one, but it'll be in your kit irregardless. You won't have to worry about what color. But look how poofy they are. Ooh, they're so fun. All right, they don't need to be long. We're going to use these tight to the base, so it'll be a lot of fun. We put them in, so I'm going to cut them kind of short. We might have to trim them some more, but we're going to get them started. Trim them down a little, and I can't wait to make these little pops of dimension in here. Okay, so let's start. We know this is the front of our design, so I'm going to start with kind of telling a story with these up at the front. Every time I'm making a design, there's fillers, there's main florals, there are the filler flowers, all of that stuff you learn in design school, how to use it properly. And one of the other things I love to teach is using lines in your designs. And how do I create movement by using those lines? So right here, we're going to start with our first one. It's going to be tight to the base. So all of a sudden, you have, oh, wow, that's so cool because it's tight. And then we've got height and length behind that. Now I'm going to come a little bit further behind it. And we're going to do another one that kind of starts up a little higher. I'm going to move back in here. And we're just going right into the foam, so a little bit higher, so I'm kind of riding up. And now I'm going to go a little bit tighter to that main one I just put in. And try not to get glue strings everywhere, but you can always go back and get them. So now I went high, and I'm going to go put one right in the middle. So I've got to trim this one just a little bit. So you can kind of see we've got a cluster going higher and then one lower. Just right there, I got all three together. So that kind of flows into each other. Now I'm going to work my way down over here to the side. And we're going to put a couple low over here. I don't have to use these all in threes. I can use them in twos. Or I can let one kind of do double duty. So you can see how pretty that's looking. Let's come around the back. Put a couple right here. So what this is doing is it's allowing the eye to go high and low and move around in a design, and all of a sudden you have depth. And I'm always preaching to design school about depth and dimension means more, a higher price and a better quality design when you all get done with it. And sometimes that depth can be created by coming off the base, and sometimes it's created by staying low to the base. So I'm going to pull this little eucalyptus over here, and we're going to make one more little cluster right in there. And I totally love this, guys. This is turning out so cute. And these fill up a lot of real estate, and I always like that because they can tuck in. I'm going to bring this eucalyptus down a little here because I like our fancy greenery running through the middle. And it's got some cute little succulents and little spiky flowers. Uh-oh, I pushed this one off too far. Let me put it back on. Sometimes I get overexcited. All right, I'm going to put this one back on. Well, I hope this week, next week, when you have time, you find someone you could build up in your community, your social circle. How could you invest in them like I did these sweet old kids at the tennis tournament? It could be as simple as doing something, asking about somebody's day, engaging with someone, doing a little extra for them that they weren't expecting. Absolutely, it's a pleasure, and you know what? It actually fills your heart more than it even does theirs when you see how happy they are. It's that simple. Well, here it is. I hope you want to come and make this with us. I love doing these projects with you guys, and I know you can do it too. This is what they call a cloche, and instead of being a full one, it's a half one. And it's got this neat whitewash and this cute little bird on top, but it's kind of on an elevated stand, so it's the perfect place to create a little arrangement in. In this kit, you get this base, and let me show you the beautiful colors we're using with this. We used some beautiful teal in an arrangement we did the other day, and I thought, you know what? I've got to use it again. We've got these gorgeous berries in here. So this is a pretty kind of between turquoise and teal. It's just a really, really pretty color. We're going to have a eucalyptus in here too with a bloom that matches it. So pretty on there. And then some fishtail ferns. So we don't have a ton of florals here because I'm going to try to kind of make this in the back. So I leave a little bit in the front to kind of add a little bit of mystery and interest. You know, I love to do that. I'm teaching a design school like that every week, about lines and direction and placement and how you tell a story with your work. That's exactly what we're going to do here today. So the first thing we're going to do to get started on here is we are going to need a little bit of styrofoam, and this is a particular kind. It's a floral foam, and you can get this at your craft store. It comes in big sheets or smaller blocks, and I work with it in design school all the time, and we save every little bit. So this is just a little block we had left over from another project, and I'm going to give that a dip in my glue, and then we're going to go ahead and place that down on our base. And I'm going to go way back here in the corner, because I think it'd be fun to leave a little room, potentially maybe for a candle or something up front, and have a little open space in your design. And sometimes that's important, so that's what we're going to do today. Once our first part is in, we're good to start. We're going to want to grab some of our greenery. In that case, we're going to set our perimeter like we would teach in class when I'm teaching my more advanced students. We're going to do the same thing here. So what I want to do is take 3 pieces, and we're going to push these up a little, okay? You can kind of hold it up to your container. There's only so far we can go here till we're going to hit the top of the birdie in the back there. So get them a little shorter than that, push them up, because we want them to be nice and full and bushy. So I'm going to trim this part of the bush off. And you will need some wire cutters too. If you don't have some, grab some so you can cut these florals to go in here. So I'm going to take my first piece and just go right here in the back. And I love how it's a little wispy and moving forward. That's excellent. Now I'm going to take my second piece and I'm going to move this one a little bit away from the back. You see how I put a curve on it? Every time you put a piece in your work, you're going to do that. You're going to think about how can I add depth and direction and movement and dimension, depth, dimension, direction, dimension, all the D's. All right, I'm going to come in this other side. Look how pretty that is. So we got a great base started, and when you look from the back, look how pretty that light green is on there. Oh, yes. Now, listen, if you want to get 3-dimensional later, we can, and we can come out the back, but right now, we're just starting with this on the base. It's time to get a little color and hold the rest of that greenery off for a minute. We'll bring that back to the foreground. Hey, I talked about depth. I'm bringing the depth. All right, we're going to start to prep this one, and I'm just going to tear these off the stem. And florals come on long stems a lot of times, so you have the ability to use them different ways. But you don't have to fear if you want to cut them or make them shorter. A lot of them are really beautiful. And when you do that, I always recommend kind of holding on to the stems that have a good wire, because those we can use, you know, for other support wires and in other projects. So just hold on to those. We can use those down the road somewhere. Now that we've taken these and we have shortened them way down, we still have to kind of make some adjustments because we're trying to work inside our design. So we're going to take and trim one off. I'm going to have this little baby on its own, and we're going to work this one right up in the middle in the back. And we're trying to keep this really beautiful and sweet so that we can have some empty space in the foreground. All right, now I'm going to come off to the right side. Awesome. Just tuck that one in. Oh yeah, she's looking good. And I'm going to move her up just a little bit. And now we're going to do a little section on the left. And I'm just cutting off these babies that are in clusters of 2. Let me keep those separate. I'm going to go on this side. And I'm just dipping in my glue. My electric skillet with the glue is off here to the side so I can get my hot glue in there. Oh, that looks great. Now you can see we got a great start here as we create our base. All right, we've got 3 of these left. We're going to hold off for those just a little bit. Now I want you to bring back some of your fern greenery here that we started off with, our fishtail fern in the cream color. And I'm going to take and push these short, really short on these. We've got our height. Now we want to add that this neat wispy texture to the front of the arrangement, and I would call that the foreground. So I'm going to take and cut these shorter. Look at that, look at that. And we're going to work right here in the back. All right, I'm coming in. And now I'm leaving a little space in the front. So I want to work these on either side. Yeah, just like that. So we kind of got this little concave cloche working out for us right here, okay? Now, before we get more dimensional on the edges and things, I want to go ahead and start to get our berries in. These berries are super cool because they're also wired right down to the base, and that makes them just really, really easy to work with. Now, I want to use these low to the base on this design to start with. So we're going to cut these pretty short, and then I'm going to take, and we're going to start to tuck these in right between where we put the eucalyptus. Oh yeah, I knew they were going to work so good in there. It's going to be so good. Okay, I'm going to take another one, and we're going to work that in over here too. Arrangements like this are great for beginners. When you're done, you have a neat piece to use in your home. This looks adorable next to like a frame just sitting on your cabinet. And you get, oh, that little pop of berry in there. So I got 2 of the berries in. You don't even have to have room for the candle in here if you don't want to. Like if you want to, you could probably start to see how much more you need. But let's assume you don't want to put your own battery operated candle in there. I want you to be able to fill in and finish this design coming out. Leaving a little space, but you know, having the movement in all that direction that I love. And I hope you love too. I hope you start to love that. So I'm going to bring that straight out forward. And then I'm grabbing some more berries here, and I want to take these berries. We're going to have them a little longer, but I'm going to have them kind of sit on the base. Now they're still going to go into the foam. They're not going to be separate. They're still going to pop in right here. So that way nothing can break off or, oh yeah, looks good. You know, why it starts to look so good is because of the layering we're doing here. And we've got it just coming out so pretty. Now, just like if these were growing and they're trying to reach out, I want you to do the same thing here. You know, they're reaching out for the light. They're happy to be in this little cluster, but man, they want to get all that sunshine. Y'all, these are artificial florals, so don't get all crazy on me. They don't really need sunshine. They don't need watering, but I want them to feel like they're real. Let's take another one and come on this left side and open these pretty berries up. I'm going to give that a little bend, and now we're coming on the left. Yes, that's so beautiful. All right, I want one more eucalyptus kind of coming up and swooping around here. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh, look how good we're looking, y'all. Oh, it's so sweet. Now, we're going to break it up just a little with a couple of the fern in the center. One here coming out, and then I want a little more center left, y'all. And when you grab this kit, don't forget it will have a QR code that you can just scan with your phone like you're going to take a picture, and then it will come up to the link and you can come back and watch this video so you won't spend any time trying to find this again. Look how cute this is going to be. Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to take my last berry and I'm going to use it up a little higher, and I'm going to kind of guide our eye up here and remind us we've got that cute little bird on the top. And you could add whatever you wanted to this. If you had a battery operated smaller candle too, you could put it just right into that foam. If you had like instead of a pillar, like a taper, oh my gosh, it could just work in right between all of these. I went on the edge of the foam, but I got it. Okay. And this one I might open up a little bit more, and then these I might change them up by keeping a couple open, maybe some tighter. You can play with that, but look, whether you leave a space to add your own cuteness in there, or you take and fill it all the way full like we did here, I think you will love this design. It's super sweet, and you get the cutest container too here to make it look amazing. We're playing with our latest wreath kit, and this one is a butterfly crossing wreath. In this kit, you're going to get the sign, butterflies, beautiful mini daisies, and some gorgeous greenery. It is all about the contrast of the colors here, and I think it makes a beautiful wreath. In this kit, you do not get a wreath base, so you will need to decide what size you want to do. The sign is actually a cute little yardstick. See the bottom here? It's a little yardstick. So if you have a roto zip, you can always just zip this off and cut this off, or a big like linesman plier or something, you can cut the base off. But if not, if you use an 18-inch wreath base, you literally can just work it right into the base, and you don't have to hide it or anything like that. So this kit doesn't come with a base. You need to pick out which one you want and then use whichever one you want. Either the big one that says the 18-inch or go smaller with the 14-inch if you're going to cut it down. So we're going to use ours full on, and I am going to take, first of all, and get it mounted in our base. And we're working with the 18-inch wreath base here because I don't want to have to worry about cutting it. I know I'll get all this hidden and make it disappear. So I'm going to start off first by just popping this in the bottom, kind of bringing it down a little. And then whatever's sticking out, you got to be able to cover it with florals, and you need to make sure it's to the foreground so it won't hurt anybody's door or scratch it or anything like that. So I've done that here. It's in the foreground and it's not going to scratch their door. And once I've got it in here really good, I want to bring it down just a little bit. Then I am going to take and cable tie this in the bottom. And I got to make sure it's running straight up through the middle so we don't make this wonky. So that looks pretty good in the middle. And once we're happy, we're going to put some cable ties. I've got some good brown ones, or you can use black. I'm going to use black because then that stem will kind of, it'll hide it on the metal support thing that usually goes in the ground that we're using in the wreath today. Y'all, and if you want to grab this kit, just head over to KeleasDesignSchoolDotCom. The link will be right here in the comments too. And there will be links for the wreaths. You just have to add the wreath you want for the size wise. I'm going to use that black cable tie up here so I can just kind of camo this right under the butterfly right here. Okay, get that a little tight. And let me see if I can get some tension on here. Yep, so you're never going to see it now. And I just want to make sure I don't have it too left or too right. I got it nice in the middle. All right, once you've got that center, we're going to take off these little cable ties. Those little tails, we don't need to see any of that. And it'll keep that hidden. If you need to, you can use wire on that also if you want to be able a little bit more forgiving, to be able to wiggle it around. And then when you're done, make sure you just tuck the cable tie little knotty part in the wreath, but not on the back where it's going to scratch anybody's door, okay? Now, let's get our next base started. So we're going to start with some of our arena wreath. And this one comes in the kit, and it's kind of really nice and wispy. It's very lush, and I like that because it's got all this movement to it. And we're going to put that in first to kind of create our perimeter. And that means we're going to just kind of set the base out. So let's take this puppy and get it separated into some nice sections we can work with. And I like to just tear it, make it easy on yourself. Now once we've done that, I'm going to straighten those up a little, and we'll start to get them into smaller little sections. I got a nice little cluster to work with. And, you know, just take your time. You have to trim them pretty good after you cut them, because you want to be able to shape them into nice little sections like this. So you're going to take that one bush and make a lot of smaller picks from it. And I've got my glue pot back here. Just give that a swirl. And then you want to decide right now about how high you want this to go up. And I know I kind of want it to kind of come up a little bit higher than the butterfly sign on either side. So I'll work through that both directions, okay? So we're going to take these, and each one of these stems you should be able to make it into a couple of different pieces. So this one has this cool curly Neato vine, and pull that to the inside. We're going to add a little bit more of that over here in a second. I like for that to kind of come back over the butterfly sign. And I've got a lot of glue on there. Now, I want to make sure as I'm bringing these in, I'm going out and I'm going in. Let's push this one in. There we go. Have it kind of come back. Now you see how that's coming over the side? I want to do that on this side too. And I've got this piece that was on that first section we cut. And then what we can do is we literally can take the wire and like make it kind of come around this wire. I love that. We're going to add a little bit of detail. Usually I don't do detail to the end, but I want this one to kind of be in the background. Now, anytime you can see your glue, you want to cover that with a little bit of Spanish moss. And today I'm using my light green Spanish moss on there. Now I'm going to take the smaller pieces And I'm going to work one a little bit to the inside here. Kind of coming on the left side. Yep. And I like for it to overlap the sign slightly. And I'm going to come in with a little bit of my moss to hide my mechanics, and that means cover up the glue anytime I can see that. All right, I'm going to bring this one now coming to the inside also, and I've got a couple of pieces of the cool vine on it. Oh my gosh, I get so excited. We use this one in our sold out bear beehive kit. We use that same greenery, and I loved it because it gives you that little bit of wildness to your design that is a lot of fun. Okay, look how cute that is. And I'm going to take that moss and we're going to put that right in here to kind of hide the mechanics. Now I'm going to try to get another piece with a little more vine to come on this side. I want to match what I just did over there. This one will kind of come right here. I love it. And make sure you do what we call in design school shaking hands. You're spreading out your picks, sprays. You're purchasing those from KeleasDesignSchoolDotCom, so you're getting this great wire in there. That way you can get all that depth and dimension and start to learn how to maximize that in your designs, because they're going to look higher end. Oh my gosh, it looks like a garden already. Okay, our smaller pieces we're going to kind of work down here right out of the middle so we can start camouflaging our base down here. I don't want everyone to see my wire stem, so we're going to start to kind of lay a little camo there. That one's going to go on the right and this one's going to go on the left. We'll just work these under. There we go. Beautiful. Let me put a little more Spanish moss in here. Got a little bit of a glue there. I want to kind of camo that. Okay, already. Kind of hard to see that stake already. We're hiding it in. Excellent. Now, let's move on to our next step. We need to put our flowers in. And this type we're using a mini daisy. That is really, really fun. And I like this one because it's long and lush. So what I want you to do is push these leaves up to the bottom. So we don't need any leaves really low. And then I'm going to trim this all down a little bit to kind of get these stems a little shorter. Doing that first. And let's start to build this puppy up. When I use these, I'm going to use these in twos, okay? So I'm going to kind of stagger them in, and I want the flowers to work out, okay? They're kind of working from the middle out on both sides. So I'm going to take the first one in right here. Tuck that, oh yeah. Whoa. And then we do the same thing over on the right side, okay? So you've got a great foundation started. We want a tall one and a short one. And these are going to go out to the right also. So I just kind of lay them together. Trim them up. All right, on the right side right here. And make sure you're going into the wreath, not through the back. Oh, nice and bushy. Looks like a wildflower garden in there, which goes perfect with this sign. And I'm going to put a little bit of Spanish moss right in there where my glue is. All right, excellent. Now I'm going to work my way down. I'm going to work on the right, doing the same thing, one a little bit higher, a little bit lower. And we'll come down a little. It's going to go right beside the stake in here. I've got that working. And then I'm going to use this cluster off to the left. And you can see how pretty that is, how we've gotten a lot of movement here. It's just going to look like a dang garden, which is what we want. I love it when you feel like you're escaping into somebody's garden right before, you know, it just goes so good on their front door as you come in their entry. Ah, yes. I love it. All right, and then we could put a couple up the middle here. to kind of go right beside this middle stake that's in the center, and we're going to put those right up the middle. So I'm going to push them up and make one a little shorter and one a little longer, so we'll get a really natural look. And I'm using an electric skillet with hot glue that's right behind the restand. That's why you see me go back there to get the glue. All right. And it's okay that it covers up the words a little. I like for it to feel like it's a layered look. Okay, that's what we're going for. All right, and this very last piece we'll kind of use here in the center, kind of coming forward, out a little bit to the right. We're still working on camouflaging all of our stake in here and working it in. Now this particular design is not gonna have a bow, but if you're really wanting to put a bow and you're like a bow person, you know what, that is the perfect place to put the bow down there at the bottom. Oh, she's looking good, y'all. You ain't kidding. Desiree looking good. I love it so far. Now grab your other greenery, because we want to use this to kind of make that center really pop. And I'm going to take and trim these stems down a little bit. You just cut them all off the main stem, and they're very long. They're a little bit longer than we want to use in this design. So I'm going to take and cut one so it hangs a little, and then we will make that into two different cuts here, okay? So I'll cut this piece off right there, and then I'll make this into a couple of pieces also. So I get that hangy look, but not as long, all right? I still want it to be really hangy right down here at the bottom. I'm gonna move up the wreath for a second so you can see me work on that bottom section, okay? Because we want this to feel real wispy and organic. So I'm gonna take two of these together, and we'll put them starting down here by the, right behind where we put the yellow flowers, right in here. Oh, that's perfect. And now it's nice and wispy coming down there. I love it. We're going to cut the other long piece into some smaller sections as well. And we'll use this one right up the middle, right in there. And I'll kind of put it with another piece here together so that they can kind of layer together on this side. Take your time on this part, you know, really enjoy the process of creating when you get into the detail work. And in here, that's kind of what we're doing already. We're coming in, we're trying to camouflage our little stakes so you don't know what's in there, but we want it to feel very lush and organic in here, and really just a pretty greenery that's going in there. So these pieces now we're going to work in that section going left and right. Bring this one in over here. And then I'm going to put one into the right too. Right behind some of my leaves. And pretty soon you can see how gorgeous that is. You don't see the stake anymore, do you? Not at all. It's very camo, really lush in there. Got a little bit of greenery left, and we're going to use a little bit on either side to kind of fill in to get a little bit of that brighter green there. And then after that, we are on to the fun part of the butterflies, because yeah, it's a butterfly crossing. They're crossing. They're about to cross. Let's put the other one on this side. And wait till you see these butterfly twig stems. They are loaded with twigs and little forsythia blooms. They are so fun to use. All right, we've got great placement in our greenery. We've got our stake all hidden. You never even knew it was there. And now we're ready to rock and roll these butterflies. We're going to use two of these stems, because if one is good, two is better. And on this one, it's a little harder to break up because it's got a lot of fine little stems. So I kind of like to use it all as one. All right. So that means getting in here and kind of placing all these stems. I love the twigs. I think they're a lot of fun too, but you kind of got to woman handle them or man handle them, meaning you've got to control them a little bit. So I like with the butterflies to put a little curl in there so we can get them moving. Now they're very neat. In the wind, these actually will wiggle a little because they're lighter material and they look so organic and beautiful. So you want them in here flying. So I kind of play with it a little. I like for the big twigs, the brown twigs, to get a curve on them. If this is too tight for your finger or something like that, you can use a long glue stick or a dowel rod, but I like to curl them just a little. Okay, kind of played with it a little, but we're ready to cut it. Don't cut it too short, keep it about 4 inches. And we're gonna put one in on the left and one on the right. So let me start with this one on the right. We're shaping it just a little, all right? And we're gonna put it over here. Now, bend that stem where it comes forward just a little. I'm dipping it in my glue. And we're going right in here, back to the right. Trying to get it kind of going in the background slightly. Oh, perfect. So you can see we added all this wispiness immediately, but now take your time. Put these guys where you want them. I need this tallest butterfly there. And see how I'm just curling it to accomplish what I want? Just seeing if it's okay. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now let's come on the left. Same thing with this one, same stem. See how these are long and spread out? I'm just gonna add a little curl. And then I can stretch them out or just have a little more control over them. You're gonna have to still shape it once it's on there, but do a little before so you don't get in there and just get overwhelmed with it. I'm gonna take this long. This one's kind of on a heavy wire in the middle, so maybe use a couple fingers so you don't just get it too tight. Okay, I've played with it. Now I know it's gonna go in here and work out this way so we get our same little butterfly crossing on the left. Okay, let's come in on the left. Now once we get our butterflies in, we're gonna do a little bit of detail work where we wanna come and clean up anything we missed. Right here, look at this. Bringing that in. Now I want to have, like, that butterfly's up tall there. I can make it match if I want, or I can make them move down. Like, this is where you can do your detail work and wiggle them around. I can have this one kind of come down. How about this guy go way up over here? How about that? This guy could move more to the middle. Yeah. So just stand in front of your design, take a look at it. And then my last step, oh my gosh, it has just so much dimension, y'all. Check this out. Look at that. Look at all that. Oh my gosh, it's great. My last detail I want to do here is I want to come in and grab these few pieces of greenery that were left from my very first piece, okay? I have just about 3 pieces. And I'm going to use them individually to kind of go in and fill in any holes. And every project will have a little bit of holes sometimes. So you just come in and you look for where you missed a little spot. And we just take and push them in. And they can be little cuts. They're glued in nicely. And you know, those vines we put in at the beginning, if you want to move them more to the front, you can. Here's this one. Here's one there. See, you can work them all around. Oh, I love that. Now I'm going to use one of these cool little leafy ones kind of coming out to the left over here. And I'm going to shape it up just like we normally do, shake hands. And we're going to come out to the left also. Y'all, this was amazing fun. I hope you're inspired to make something beautiful. And you grab this kit from us and you can just make this exact same wreath or take your own twist on it and create something beautiful. It will make a great gift, but I think you might end up keeping this one. These are just great wreath alternatives, and they are excellent for beginners to make your door look like no other in the neighborhood, because your neighbors aren't going to have this, guys. You can purchase all these supplies on KeleasDessignschoolDotCom. If you'll just text us at 832-734-5201, just text us supply. We'll send you the latest supply list that goes with this particular supplies that we're using today, so you won't miss a minute. You're going to need a little bitty block of floral foam, and I just cut this like a nice little chunk. Don't get it too skinny or it might fail on you. Keep it a little thick. All right, we're going to be attaching this to the bottom of the butterfly. We are doing this all different. In this Wonderland collection, you guys, that I've been making, we're breaking all the rules. We're not playing by rules. We are throwing the rules out the window. Glue Pot's coming on the scene. It's coming in hot. Okay, so what I want to do first is get this dude started. Floral pins, you know, in my cute little bucket. I mean, I love excuses to go shopping, to buy new fun little vintage things to use in my business, because then I get to shop and actually have cute little containers. So get a nice chunk of glue. We're putting that right at the bottom of the body. Now, that's not good enough to hold it in place. We need some of these floral pins out of my little bucket, and we're going to use those to kind of tuck this into the body. So anytime you use any foam on something, it has to be secured, you know, with good glue or wire. There's all kind of different ways to do it. You just cannot just put it on with hot glue. It might last for a while, but if you sell your pieces, you don't want things falling apart on people. You just don't want that. You want it holding together. If anything, you don't want your mechanics to fail, no matter what you're making your piece for. It cannot fail. We got to keep it together. And that just starts off with a nice, good base. And we're doing that right now. So I'm grabbing pieces of the vine, pieces of the frame, and I'm just putting glue. You got to have glue. You can't just pin it in. It'll just pull right out. But with this particular floral foam, when you mix it with glue, you are set and good to go. Okay, let's turn that around. So she is nice and mounted good on there. And that starts us off great. And we are using this yellow gypso bush, which is a nice little pusher. So that means I'll be able to use some long or some short. Our mushrooms, of course, cute as can be. Then I'm going to use one of these poppy sprays that's got the beautiful orange and the green, and it's got like a touch of red. And then that pulls in the mushroom, but then wait. Look at our ribbons! We're popping the pink and orange and yellow ribbon to really make it a wonderland. I love mixing the orange with the pink. It is just, not only is it on trend, but it is adorable. So let's start building this out first. Let me get this where you can see everything in our shot. In our shot. Okay, let's start with the poppy spray. And let's spread it apart and kind of get the sections done. Now this, I'm going to take as one section right here. Now if I were to tear that, I would have it broke up a little. So you got to look at how yours is. You might be able to tear yours, but I've got to cut mine because I don't want to retie that section. I'm big on not having to do extra steps. So if I can cut it, I am set. So I'm going to take and manipulate these, shake hands, get these dudes rocking, get this head nice and, oh, look at that. So pretty! Oh my gosh, y'all. I'm going to tear these, but I'm going to go ahead and cut them just for a little security. I'll leave that one long. We might want to go ahead and have a little length on him. You can see I'm shaking hands, okay? Y'all know that's something we do in design school. You got to shake hands. You got to open up these heads, fluff them out, especially when you have these little wired bloomy things in the center. Use those to make it cute. You could steam them if you want them more open, just depending what you want. Go for it. So we got those three pieces ready. Now, I am going to go ahead and kind of lay out my design with these, how I want this design to go. And I was thinking we would like have a piece kind of go across the body here. The big bow that we're going to make in a minute is going to go down and cascade down. I don't really want it covering up a lot of my body. It's going to go down. So how about we'll have this poppy go this way. And then maybe we'll just have this little stem go up here. A little bit shorter. Maybe we'll cut that one shorter. Okay? So kind of left to right with a lot of cascade. Or we could just have it really big and bold at the bottom. Oh my gosh. Maybe we'll do that. That's fun too. Let's do that. So I'm going to cut this down just a little bit. And let's get this party started. So now it's time to put these in. Got my glue pot over here to the side. I'm just going to put a little glue on, load it up, bring that piece down. Bring those heads up. And remember, KeleasDessignschoolDotCom products are wired. There, this is not your mama's silk flowers. These are good, and we want to use those wires in them. Have them sitting up. Trim down those stems just a little bit, and then we're going to put that in the glue pot. Just come over here off to the side. Okay, so I left kind of a nice little section. But you want to hear that crunch to go in that foam, as you know it's going in good. All right, now this could go straight up if you're feeling really, you know, matchy-matchy. You know, I'm never feeling matchy-matchy. Very rarely, I wouldn't say never. So we're going to go off to the side and kind of create a line right here. We're going to push that in, and this one is beautiful and ready to go. So we've got a great foundation. We're leaving a little center open for the bow. Now it's yellow time. One day I'm going to get to where I just shake the bush and stuff magically happens. All right, I'm going to make these a little shorter. Take 3 of these and cut them off. And we're going to use these to kind of create a perimeter, work it in around each piece we already put in. So we're going to take one and go right here to the side of this one. This is such a fun gypso because it's got that little pretty yellow berry, which is going to look really good on here. And we're going to put one on the outside of each stem we already put in. Notice how I'm bending it up. Really important. Really important to bend that up and get the dimension. Remember, we're going to have some ribbon in here. We're going to be fighting for position against that bow. Okay, now let's put our next piece in on the other side, right here. Okay, we got a great foundation built. So we left a nice big bow zone. That's what we call this area. Not bozo, bow zone. Get it right, y'all. Don't be careful what you call that butterfly. Flip your bow over. We've got a cable tie in the back, and we need to add one of those floral pins. So let me get out one of my cute little floral pins. And basically, they're a piece of wire shaped like a U that allows you to attach things to foam really easy. So I'm going to come in here and watch my tails. I want to make sure they're going down and add in a floral pin right here on top and just get that cable tied right in. So we had the tie set up there to attach it, and it's good to go. So once you do that, you can rotate this over, and the pin's just shooting off the bottom like that. It's so hard to see on camera, but there it is. Now get rid of that little plastic piece here that is coming from the end of the cable tie. We're going to put that in the recycle. Then I'm going to flip this around, and we're going to add glue to the pin. So I just bring it right to the pins, and we're going to push this at the bottom. I want this kind of towards the bottom. I don't want the bow to overtake the design. I want it to be at the bottom. Okay? So now what you need to do is work your flowers and your greenery that's already in there around the bow. So this takes just a second. I'm going to take and bring the tails to the back and let that kind of come down. We can recurl them. I'm just bringing them out first. Oh my gosh, so stinking cute. Then the cute little pink curls are more to the foreground. We're going to curl them, and I'm going to bring them around. There are pops of red and orange. I love this fun look. This is just a fun, whimsical look altogether. Bring you, oh my God, you're so cute. Okay. And we'll recurl these when we get it more of a hanging piece situation, but basically you're curling them up just like this. All right, but we are not done. We are not done. We look like we're done. It looks pretty darn good. But I'd like to get our cute little mushrooms in first. I almost called them marshmallows. Lord, is this going to be a pumpkin watermelon situation? Put your marshmallows in, Lord. Lord, let me control my brain, please. Okay, cut this piece so you get one of the longer ones, one of the short. These are the cutest stinking things you've ever seen. Okay, now we're going to take the long one. I'm going to have it kind of come up in here. Remember, this is part of our Wonderland collection. These just need to be the most precious things you ever saw. I like this because I'm going to use some of this for Easter and spring, but then I can use some of it later too to mix in with some other pieces. I'm coming in a little shorter. Okay? Oh my God, just give them a little separation. One a little higher, one a little shorter. Y'all. Woo, Mama. This is so cute. Okay, now we're using this like our additional greenery. So I want these kind of short, and rotate them when you're pushing them up because you can get them to look like a better cluster. I don't need them long, but they just look really cool when you get them chunked up. Okay, like a nice really gypso filling in like that. Oh, you see that kind of a wildflower look? You're going to cut these fairly long, like 4-inch stems, 3-inch stems, fairly long on that, not too short, because we got to work out around the bow. Okay, if you have them short, it's going to be tight in there, and the ribbon's going to hide everything. And if that's the look you want, go for it. You know me, I want it to be wispy and whimsical. Coming right in here to the center, putting the first piece in, wash your ribbon, and then I'm going to just pull it a little bit apart, bring that to the back, open that poppy up. Beautiful! Now I'm going to tuck in tight to either side here too. I'm going to cut a little bit shorter, and we're going to just pop these in on either side, just right here, kind of at the side of the bow. Oh my God, so pretty. Now on the other side. So basically we're kind of going one on every side of the bow. So we need one here down at the bottom. Cut this one shorter because it's going to tuck in tight to the bow. And so what it did there is it gave me this nice filling in by the bow. And in design school, I would call that breaking the plane of the bow. So it gives you this beautiful garden type look where the pieces are breaking the plane of the ribbon. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Bring that orange flower out. The yellow. Move these to the front. Oh my God, y'all. Super duper cute. This is the first time for us to make this design low like this on the butterfly without using a wreath. And I think it came out stunning. Have you ever tried one like this? Make sure you share it with us, Plumerinos. This was so much fun. It's our newest kit, and it starts off with the cutest little container where these frogs are just all over this cute little boot. And the first thing we're going to want to do is kind of figure out what you want to be the front of this design. And I think for me, I like it kind of angled just like this, where I can see the white part of the boot, yet I can see the froggies, and we're going to work the florals out of here. This design and this kit comes with beautiful greeneries and importantly some really fun twigs that we're going to use in the design too, and some really killer berries that we're going to put all together. So that combo is going to work great in here. The kit does not come with the floral foam, so you're going to need to grab a little bitty block of floral foam, and this is one left over from a design school project. So I've cut that where it'll just slide right in here, so we're going to hit that with some glue. And we want to make sure it's kind of going to stay below the top of the container, so it'll camouflage it really well. So I'm going to put that in my electric skillet with the glue here, and I'll show you how that looks. It's got a nice coating on there. I'm just going to pop that right in. And we're going to start to fill this up with greenery and get that base kind of started here. So I'm going to take my fishtail fern, and we don't need these super long, so we're going to push these up a bit. So we get that nice little bushy look. And once again, this functions like a fern, so it's very wispy. So I'll take and just cut these off. You'll need a pair of wire cutters in order to cut the florals that come with it. And I'll just cut those all off the bush right there. And then what I'm going to do is start to kind of arrange these in my container. Now, up to you how you want to kind of get the shape, but I'm going to make it with a little bit of height, but primarily I just want it to be nice and full in there. So I'm going to grab my electric skillet here, and this has got my hot glue in it. And then I'm just start to put one kind of in the back center to kind of create a little height and work down from there. And we're just going to put some at an angle where they kind of come over the edge, because I want it to be like these frogs are living on this shoe. And these plants have started just growing in here too, because it's a stinking cute little boot. It's like one of those little water boots, you know? Ugh, adorable. Let's bring this one forward. And if you want to make these a little shorter, don't do that. Don't do what I just did, because then you have to put these all back on the stem. I got all excited. And look what happened. Well, we can put those all back on the stem, but that's going to take a minute. So magically that'll come back together after a while. But right now, I'm going to take one that was already shorter. So just go slow when you're pushing it up so you don't do that. No, you don't need these super long, because I kind of like them short, kind of giving little froggy a little cover here and a little place to hide. But we got 4 pieces in to start us off. And now we want to grab our other greenery. And this one we're going to tear off this stem, because we want to use this all in smaller pieces to kind of get it scaled down for this design. So the neat thing about when you get a kit from us, you're going to get everything you need to make this piece finished. You can use it this way, or you can be inspired by this video to try something different. But all this greenery can pull off the main stem, what we're doing here. And you don't really even have to have anything special to cut it at that point. But you do need some wire cutters when you get ready to cut it down into smaller little pieces, because everything is on a wire stem, which makes it gives it such a realistic look. So you can see I separated all that, and this is my favorite part of this one is the twigs. So pull the twigs off the side and start to separate these off into their little pieces. A lot of times we're not going to do that for wreath making, because then we have to kind of put it all back together. But in this particular design, we want to do that, so that way we can utilize all these in our whole arrangement. So I'm taking every piece literally and tearing it down until it's smaller wires, okay? And that's something I normally don't do, so pay attention, because this is a little different than we normally do. Now what I want you to do is take these longer like ivy pieces, and we want to have those kind of come between our ferns. I'm going to come right from the middle, and these are going to kind of come out like that. See how fun that is? That starts reaching and breaking the plane of the container. And that's a trick we use in design school a lot. And so we want to do that in this, even though this is a small beginner arrangement, we want to do the same thing. I want to come over the edge and break the plane of the container. I've got 3 of these. And then let's have one kind of come down here over this frog over here. Because this frog is like out here. He needs some cover. You know, he's like out here and people might see him. He needs to be just slightly covered. Oh, perfect. See how cute? They're both kind of camoed in there. So those are in. Now I want you to grab this fern. It's a different little fern. And these all have a little bit of flocking on them. We're going to put those in next. Some of the ferns have a berry, and we'll hold those off because these are kind of little clusters. We're going to leave like that. But this one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to kind of come out from the center right here. And now this is a little bit of an olive green, and we've got it spaced out pretty good amongst everybody. And he's kind of poking out from underneath. You see him poking out? Oh my God, so cute. So we'll get that manipulated, give it a little bit of a bend so that everybody feels really natural. Now our next little pieces with the berries are coming in next. And some of them have a little ivy with them. And what I want you to do is just make sure that ivy's all going the right way. And then kind of make a nice little cut where this is neat and clean. And then just twist these together. Okay? So that way you know they're not coming apart. And I'm going to hit my glue pot in here, getting a little glue on them. And we're going to tuck these in. These are going to be a little bitty berry cluster tight to the base. But then a little bit of ivy in there. So I'm going to do that with these 2 here. We're going to cluster these all together. And just take and separate those out. Now trim that into one neat little finished piece, because that way I can push that into the foam. So just a little tip there when you are trimming that greenery and you've got that wire exposed, make sure you just twist those together. Okay, so I've got a couple of clusters separated from each other. Now here's one that's got a little fern, and this is on a longer stem, so this can kind of come out of the design. I've got that going for me here. It doesn't have to be tight. So let's have one of these kind of come forward. We'll have it kind of work this front area where we've got that fern. Yep. And she can kind of come up here and party on and be up a little higher. And this is a different fern, so that'll layer pretty. And little froggy is hiding right there. I love that. Now let's take another one of these and we'll kind of bring this to the back. It's got the other fern. And I'm just going to trim off this little excess wire here. And let's go behind. So you can take, and you're going to take these picks and basically break them down so they're little small clusters that you can use in this design. And pretty soon you see we're filling it up and we're kind of exploding out of the middle. That's the look we're going for, okay? One more of these is going to go a little tight to the base right here in the front, because I think it's cute to have these little berries in the front. Because they're on a wire, you can push them up or pull them out, whatever you want to do. And then we've got these 3 little ferns here. Now I've got a couple of these leaves that could go up high in this design. And so just pull off any extra paper on there, and we can let these kind of come up in here where that fishtail we put in first was in the back. There we go. It's a pretty little different texture on the leaf. And just get the glue on, and we're going to press that right into the foam. All right, those are put in, just kind of going either side. Now, we've got our little froggy there. We got a froggy here, looking great. Now, I want to kind of break up the center where we put all that greenery. with our other ferns, okay? So I'm going to take this one and just go right next to that one we just put in, that leaf. Perfect. And then we'll put one more here to the left. And so that way it looks very fluid, where there's a little bit of fern everywhere. There's the fishtail, there's the berry. You see how we kind of come out of the center and go all around? That's exactly what we're going for. That looks great. This is so stinking cute. Now, I'm going to show you kind of like what we would do in design school. You see these laces are brown on this shoe. The sole is black. It's a perfect time to bring in a darker twig. And that came on our stem. It's the perfect time to bring in this darker twig because it matches what is in the base here. And because this came with our stem, it's just perfect. And I'm just going to use my finger to curl these wires up a little. And we'll put these right in. Y'all, if you love making this kind of project with us, this is just a great starter project. And once you kind of get a feel for this, we'd love for you to come join us in design school, where we build up from this type of project and we go on to higher level designs that you can learn to create for your home. And then later, you can even take and learn to sell them if you want to go to the next level. But this is kind of the building blocks to get you started, starting with one of our simple little kits and projects like this. I'm going to take the second piece, curl it up, and we're just going to go right here from the center. Look how cute that is. And this one I'm going to leave a little long because I want to reach all the way back in there and kind of come out between our two froggies. But y'all, this is adorable, and the container makes it so stinking cute. And if you're a frog lover, you're in trouble. You're going to have it because she is a cutie with her frogs and her boot. And of course, we killed it with the greenery here. Remember, we're not just shoving it in. We're thinking about the placement every little step we make. What we're going to do is take our greenery bush right here, and we're going to break this down. We do want all these little stems kind of in little bitty clusters or individually is fine. So we're going to cut all those. If you save this, we can probably use this as a piece of wire if you cut it long enough, okay? What we're doing is we're not going to use floral foam or anything on this. We want you to be able to make it with everything that comes in the kit, just so easy, okay? If you want a link to the kit, you can just text KIT to 832-734-5201, or that'll give you an immediate response, or you can ask for the link to the kit in the comments, and we'll come back and be able to give you that later, so you can get this exact kit and these supplies. So all you're going to need is a wire cutter, and you can see I'm pushing these up to short little clusters because we need just kind of clusters of prettiness. And trim these down to just like an inch, okay? These all need to be really short. Now, we're going to start to create the look we want. And what I want is everything to be in this corner. And I'm going to start by taking my greenery and kind of laying it in that corner. Now, this is my electric glue skillet. You could use a glue gun. Just be very careful because we are not using anything to protect us here. We are literally just going straight onto the wood this time, okay? So let that start to set up. My first piece of greenery going in. Now here comes my second. I'm going to get some glue on it. If you have floral foam, you could put like a little bitty block in the corner, and that would give you just a little bit more dimension. Now notice I'm coming over the blessed a little bit. I like to do that. That's something I teach in design school. And I want to do it even on small projects like this. Just have a little bit of overlapping. Now this piece that's going to go in the corner up there, I want to make sure it's even shorter, okay? Because I don't want to blow this way off the side of the frame, but kind of keep it in proportion to what else is going on. Okay, and that's going to go right in here, and we're just kind of layering up the glue. We're not putting a ton of it. We're just gently layering it on, okay? So this kind of pops up off the corner. These could come up just a little bit. Be careful, now that they got them glued on, don't pop them off. Okay. So we kind of got like a triangle star shape going on in the corner, framing out the beautiful picture you're going to put in there. And a quick tip for craft shows. If you are selling these for craft shows, you could put like a Bible verse in this or a cute inspirational saying, so that if someone didn't have a picture or didn't need a frame, they could just buy it for the beautiful saying that you have framed up and beautifully presented. So keep that in mind. That's always served me well. Now grab a couple of the pieces that have the purple and the white, and we're going to pull a couple of those out because those are nice and long. And you're going to get that whole spray in here, so you'll have plenty to work with. And I'm going to glue these just in underneath my greenery. I'm going to put a white with a purple. And we're going to come in and just tuck those in right there, okay? Let those kind of come towards the foreground. Put this little berry off to the side. We're going to go with white and purple to start with, okay? And we got no moss today. I mean, no foam. We're just working right into where we have the glue, all kind of going in one section. Let me bring that purple to the outside, the white a little more to the inside. Beautiful. Now let's work on these two sections above the frame and get those going. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you guys. Right there. Okay, and let's work a little bit above with the same color combo. So a touch of purple maybe. Or let's use, this leaf is pretty. Let's use that leaf. And then let's use just a little bit of this cute little, this berry, like this cute berry in there. Let's put that coming off. So once again, we're just gluing and we're just popping it in here. Just making sure that glue hits some more glue, okay? And then rotate this around. And don't touch the glue yet, because it's going to be hot, especially if you use a glue gun. Be careful. Just keep piling it up. Now, because we're going to put a bow on when it's all done, that's what's going to cover up all these mechanics. So you don't have to freak out too much about that showing. We're just kind of making a pile of glue here. Okay. Now, bring in those cute little berries. We're going to pop these in next. Just kind of stack it up. Put that one in. I really want it to kind of, I want to kind of feel it push in. Oh, these are good. These are nice wired. Ooh, look at that. I love this. My Keleas students will tell you I get way too excited about simple little things that I don't know are happening. I'm going to tuck that one a little bit behind. In there, glue on there. Okay. If you want to use floral foam, it'll make it a little bit easier to do, but in the long run, this is going to be just as stable. I want to put my bow in pretty soon, but I want to cascade down a little bit on this side too. So let's do that first so we can figure out where we're going to need to have a tail come and cover up this side. So let's go really sweet. Let's start with greenery in the back. I'm going to save the little bitty flowers for the last touches. So let's have this one piece that has a couple greeneries. Let's have it kind of come down. And I'm thinking we'll have a ribbon tail kind of come over to this corner. So just kind of bring these up for a second. We'll get this built over here in this corner. So start off with a good amount of glue there. And then we can kind of add a few more pieces. Kind of cascading around here. Oh, pretty. And then the purple. So we're kind of framing out. You know, we've got a little on the side, but then we've got a little over here to kind of tuck in around the bow. Okay, we'll be hiding all the glue in just a second. Save these little pieces for your last details, and let's make our bow. Okay, on this one you're going to get a few yards of ribbon here to make this beautiful bow, and I know I want a pretty long tail here that cascades out. So I'm going to leave this tail longer, okay? So I've taken about 24 inches. And I'm going to keep that off to the side, and then I'm going to twist. And I'm going to make my first loop. Bring it over here and measure. Okay, that's about fine, maybe a little bit more. So I want it to come out a little bit. That's probably about 5 inches, 4.5, 5. Come to the center, you twist, okay? And just let that ribbon fall on the ground while you're doing your twists. Now I want these to be equal on either side. Okay, and twist it again in the center. So the center is full of ribbon that's twisted and nice and tight. And that creates those pretty little loops. And we're just going to do 2 on each side. Here comes my next one, and they're going to be equal. So I'm going to twist again, and there comes my last one. Okay, and once I'm all happy with that, remember that wire I had you save? Grab that little piece of wire. We're going to use that to tie the center of this. Okay, we don't have to be too fancy. We're just going to tie a little wire knot around the middle. There it is. And we can use that little bit of wire to make the center of our bow. Perfect! Okay, what a cute, cute bow. And you got nice long tails there to use them how you want. Now, I'm not going to put anything, worry about covering that little piece of green because I'm totally going to just take and put a flower on it. But this is your time to glue it in place, nice and strong. So grab your I use a stick here in my glue pot. You can use your glue gun, just be really, really careful. Gob on the glue, we want a lot there. Because this is kind of a fat center. All right, fluff out your ribbon for the last time, and then we're just gonna put that dude right in. Look how cute this is. This is the cutest thing. And just hold it in place while you're fluffing it out. Make sure you love your angles, you're happy. You can see how this natural looks so great with the cream frame and the blessed words on there. That's perfect. So hold it to set it up. You're gonna have to hold it for a second. And while that's happening, I'm ready to start putting my tails in. So I want my tail to kind of flow and go right over to here to where we have this little bit of starting that tail coming down. Okay, so just make it nice and curvy and pretty, and then we're going to glue that in. Okay, right back here, just put a little on the ribbon so you know where it's going to go, and we're going to glue that right to the greenery and to the frame so it hits both. Okay, and just be careful you don't burn yourself. Now leave that a second to set up, but we're going to curl it in a minute. And then this one, we're going to try to match basically wherever that one went. We're going to come down and try to pin it right here too. And so you get this really pretty flow going. All right, just pop that down. And make sure you're kind of hiding it behind greenery because we don't want anybody to see that. And be careful because the glue goes right through that ribbon. If you push your finger right on top, you're going to get burned. So just bring it back and then take one of these leaves, push it on top. Oh my gosh, how perfect is that? Now you can trim these off as short as you want. I would probably cut this down a little, but I'm going to just curl it up so you can kind of see. You can get a nice tight curl right in here, and we'll cut that off. So I just want a sweet little curl at the end. You could save this for another project, because that's going to come in your kit. You should have a little extra. So just a sweet little curl here, kind of coming in. And then the same thing up here. I like this one to hang down a little bit more. Look how sweet. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. I love it. Now, we're ready to put our cute little flowers in, okay? So the first thing we need to do is we've got to get that center looking good of the bow. So we're going to cut a couple of these off here. And I want them real short. Because we are going to literally put these in the middle of our bow. So cut down those stems even shorter. And I'll just give those a little dip in the glue pot. And we'll just tuck that one in there. Oh, maybe one would work. Let's see, there's one. I think we're using two. One at the top, two at the bottom. I'm gonna put the little berries in between. Oh my gosh, how cute is that? And make sure you fluff out that bow. Now grab some of these adorable little wired berries and cut that really short too so you can put them right in the middle. This is a great project to do with your family. If you got a little one, y'all can make a frame to put their picture in. And little girls love working with these cute little flowers. I'm going to cut these off. Okay, now let's put the little daisies in. And we got a little bit left here. And I'm just going to have these kind of come right from behind the bow. Just push that into that same little area where you have the other daisies. And we'll just match it on the other side. If you did it on the right, let's do it on the left. We can tuck it under here. You little happy little thing, tuck under there. Isn't that precious? This is just so fun to make. Okay, and then let's just have a little kind of bridge over here. Bridge from the left to the right where we made this little move with the ribbon. And if you need to, just glue it to the frame, put some greenery down to hold it. Look how cute. And I got just a little bit of berry left. And since this is set up now, I'm going to give it a little movement. Precious. I'm going to put this little berry over here so it kind of comes out there. And just look at this! Look how cute. I mean, it's precious, y'all. You get purple peonies this pretty and berries and twigs and grasses. Guess what? it's time to make a centerpiece. We're gonna make for a side table, so you're gonna love it. So come on, Bloomerinos, let's have fun with flowers. Starts off with our, it's kind of a purpley lavender, gorgeous metal container. These are so easy to work with. It's gonna come with that. And then all of the flowers you need for this kit are also coming in here. What you are gonna need is a little bit of floral foam in order to build your design on. So you'll have to pick that up at the store. You'll need wire cutters, hot glue, and anything else that you might need to manipulate the flowers, okay? Those won't come in the kit, but everything else will. So we're gonna start off by getting started with our design, and that means prepping the base. So I like to take a nice little chunk of foam. Now you could do a couple of things. You can glue it in like this up high in the container, but a lot of times what happens if you do that is you make a mistake and this will be too top heavy. So we wanna kind of divide this foam into a couple of pieces and put it low in the container. So these come in big sheets. I take and just cut them in all different sections. So that's what I'm gonna do here first to kind of get started. I got 2 sections of the foam here working. And we don't need this puppy all filled up. Our design's gonna kind of be in the center the way I wanna design it anyway. So we'll start with our first piece in the bottom and then we'll put one on the top. So I'm just gonna put my wanky one on the bottom because it's kind of more of a filler. And then I'll put this other one on top of it. So I'll put that one in and that one right on top. And now my base is getting started. And if you can, you know, I like to secure these together, put a couple of little dowels in there. I'm always big on making my designs so they last. So you'll see me do that and trim a couple of these in. Kind of like if you're a cake decorator, how you have to put your layers together. That adds stability and strength over time. So our foam is in. Now we're gonna start off with the height of this design. And that way I can decide how tall I want it. You can do yours any way you want. When I'm in design school, I talk about the principles of design and give you guidelines. But truly, every time you do arrangement, you can control, especially when it's for you, you can control the height you want. So I want to kind of go up high with these middle. These are like a little mini flower and they're very wispy. So I love for these to be the height and kind of the domination right in the center of the design. So I'm going to take and cut a couple off here and we'll start to kind of see how that height would work. If I go in right here, yes, they give me that wispy lavender feel. So I think that'll work. I'll go ahead and trim all of these and you can do some a little higher, some a little shorter. I'm going to cut these all pretty high and then I'll do these a wee bit shorter. So I've got a little bit of staggering as we come around on the design. I like for things to look pretty natural, so I'm always going to be doing things that kind of have that vibe. So let me start off with some of my biggies. And every time I'm going in my glue pot, I sometimes keep it off the frame of the video because it's not pretty, but look, see, there's my electric skillet with my glue, just right off the side here. And I'm using it to start to kind of build up the design as I work my way around. There we go. And let's put one more here. These are all my tall ones. And these remind me of just wispy lavender. The blooms are different and it's not, but it still kind of gives you that feel. And I love in this design that we can do different shades, tones of purple and lavender. And it makes kind of a tone-on-tone design to where it's really, really luscious and beautiful. And when we do this design also today, it's going to be good all the way around. So I'm going to spin it around and work with it as I'm doing that. Now I'm going to broaden it out a little bit now. So I might take these and give them just a little bend. Remember, when you get stuff from KeleasDesignSchoolDotCom and you get wreath making supplies, everything is made to really have wires in it so that it can do all the fun things we want it to do quickly and easily. So your designs come together fast, but they're gorgeous. So you can see how pretty this is in here. I'm going to work my way around. When you've barely done anything and it's gorgeous, you know we're in store for some pretty project, literally. I love this color tone for late spring, summer. It can go all year long. Matter of fact, the purple florals we're using have more of a fall colored greenery. So you can decide if you want to leave that on, depending if you have plans to leave this in your home all year long, or you just want to use it for the spring or for early summer. It just looks so pretty. I have over here in the corner this obelisk basket we made with the pansies and the floral alliums in it, and it's got the purple, a little bit of pink in there too, but it's got the undertones of purple, and you can see how pretty these look together in the same space. But if you do lavender in your bathroom, this is going to be gorgeous. And because this is going for a side table size, it's perfect for a bathroom too. All right, you can see how I took my time. You've got to put 2 bushes of this in, and you've got to make sure it dominates. Like, it needs to be loud and proud in order for the rest of this design to work, okay? So in there, looking loud and proud, very happy with that. Now, our next move is to grab these. This is another purple berry, but with a twig on it, okay? I love things that have twigs and greenery because then all of a sudden, we have a little bit different texture. So I'm going to start to cut these off the stem. Now, on these, I'm just going to cut them into their individual pieces. And you can save the leaves if they're below the cut, or you can just use those on some other project. So I'm just trimming this all off the bush. But I love the leaf on here. It's a little bit lime green, which goes so good with purple. It's that contrast on there that just is great. It's almost like chartreuse. Okay, I'm cutting those all off. When you do that to your bush, you're going to notice there are 3 bigger ones, okay? And we're going to start with those by putting them in kind of equidistant coming out of our lavender we already put in. All right, so I want to make sure the leaves are going to show forward and not backward. Even though this is going to be a good all around, if you're in design school or if you're one of my design school students, you will know that I am big about making sure our leaves face forward. Like, it's a big deal to me. So make sure when you're manipulating all this, they're staying forward. All right, once I've done that, I'm going to dip it in the glue, and I'm going to choose a front for my design so that way, at least from this direction, the leaves look forward. So I'm going to put 2 on this side. And we'll just kind of bend this out, and then I'll put the 3rd on the back. All right, so these are kind of going on the edges of this, but still through the middle, and the 3rd one's going to go more in the back. The leaves are all still facing me. Okay, go right in the middle. Perfect. So now I got a little twiggy branch in there. Yep, see the leaves in there? That looks good. All right. The arrangement is still good from all sides, but you can you can make Kelea happy by not showing me the back of those leaves, so I don't have to lose my mind. Okay, now we're going to work these all in around the same way we've been doing, and now it's okay if the leaves just go like this so the bottom of the leaf faces down. Y'all, please help me out so I don't have to look at your finished projects and be freaking out. Like, please spin your leaves. Some of y'all are going, get over the backs of the leaves. I'm like, I can't get over the backs. I can't do it. All right, let's work all around. I love this one. I'm just going to kind of equally space them as I work it around, and that way I've got this great placement. And I'm starting to kind of come out from my midsection of the design and work out to the perimeter. All right, one more in the back here. And then we'll go back to the front of the piece. And I'm going to work from here. And now I'm going to take this one and kind of have it go out this way. And these are just gorgeous. All right, let me bring it towards you and see what you think. What are you thinking, Blue Burritos? Oh my gosh. Is this stunning already? So wispy. It's like you are in a garden, and it looks so real when it's all fluffing up like this. All right. One of our last things we're going to put in is this. It's a little lavender filler. We're going to put that in last, but I got to take up all the real estate with the peonies, and then we'll come in with this after. So these are going to go tight to the base. Now here's where I want you to make a decision. How long do I want this to be out in my home? Or do I want this to be able to work for the fall too? And if I do, I'm going to leave on the leaves. If I'm like, you know what, I just want to use this like I do, I just want to use this in late spring and summer, then I'm going to take and pull these leaves down, and we're just going to trim off the heads. And you could save these to use in another piece where you need some filler leaves to fill in, okay? And I usually just leave those right on the bush. And you can keep the leaves for later. So I'm just pulling them down. You guys, this is the type of things we teach in design school, and you're getting kind of a sneak peek behind the scenes today. So you can learn how to do this exact same thing. And come join us in class when you're ready, so I can make it super easy for you to get on your way of creating. And of course, when you're ready, you can come join us at business coaching, so I can help you become a better businessman or woman and be able to sell your pieces. And I'm big on finding that right customer, so that way you can work smarter, not harder, and maximizing your sales online. All right, here we go, guys. Here they come. Oh my gosh, look at this. Now, any of the pieces in here that have a little bit of that fall color, we're just going to save that. I'm going to put that with that other bush. And look how pretty these are going to be. So what we want to do is we don't want these like cascading out. These are staying low by the base. So I'm going to love on these heads just a little bit. And we're going to trim them. I'm going to start with a really big one. Bring it in, and I want it to kind of come and just pop right in here. There you go. Now I'm going to take another biggie, and we're going to come over, and this one's kind of a more, now it's a little more lavender color. Let's come on this side. So if I can alternate the colors, that'll be great. And I'm cutting them down just a little bit so I can get these in each section. Yep. All right. Now let's work to the back with the purple. So I want the back to be pretty too. Right in here. So you see what I'm saying? These are taking up a good amount of real estate, and I want those right in the bottom. Now we want to take, I'm going to take one of these little filler bushes, stems. It's a little bitty stem we just cut off, and I'm going to have that kind of tuck in here. And let's use a dark purple over here. And we'll just have that go in right there. Perfect. Now I'm going to come on the back side a little, and we'll do a little loving on this side with a big, thick, beautiful, lush one here. Get that a little deeper in there. I might have to cut it if I can't push it in. There we go. And then let's come on this side with one of these guys. Fill it in right there, and you can see, look how I'm working my way around. This is so pretty. Now we got a couple of buds left, and I think I'll probably use one over here and one on the other side. So I'll trim that down a little. So we filled in most of the base with the, oh, so pretty. Now if something's kind of popping out a little more than you want, just before it gets really set up, just pull it out. You can yank it out and then trim it down a little. And that just means I left it a little bit too long, because I want these kind of tight in here. All right, let's spin it around, double check on the back. And I think it's the same thing kind of going on here. So let me see if I can wiggle this one out. They kind of get really tight with the glue. So do that before they get all dried. The glue gets, you know, cold and dried. There you go. I want that one tighter. Yeah. And I've got my bud now we're going to put over here. All right, I'm going to open up those balloons just a little. Look at, so here we are at the front. Oh my gosh, it's looking stunning. Now, we're not done. So we've got all of these in, and we want to now soften them a little bit and kind of finish out this wispy garden look we have going. So we're going to open this bush and start to tear it down. This one is more of a lavender too, so we're playing with both of those colors. So you take and you tear the stem apart, and they come into all these little pieces. All right, and now we start to cut these into smaller pieces that we can use in here. And pretty soon, this design is going to come alive so nicely. So I'm going to work around and start putting these in. But I want to talk a little bit about giving yourself permission to make your space beautiful. This is kind of a trap I've fallen into before. I get very busy consumed with work, and making sure that everything I'm making is for the craft show, it's for Etsy, it's to teach, and I sometimes don't give myself permission to make me something. And it's really something I suffer with sometimes, because I think that time is not productive because it's not a revenue generating task. And that might be a little business talky for those of you who are not into that. But I'm kind of speaking to everyone who gets busy with being a mom, being a caregiver, being a wife or a husband. And that looks so pretty. I'll put it on either side. And you get away from the things that bring you joy. And you forget to make something for you. It's not that you forget. You don't give yourself permission to let yourself have something for you. And those of you who enjoy this hobby with me, or enjoy this passion of floral design or gardening, you may fall in the same trap that you get to where you don't buy the annuals anymore because you think, well, they're gonna die. But what if you love them? Like, even it's okay if you want to enjoy the moment, and maybe you spend money on something that isn't going to be there forever, but you enjoy that process, that task of creating. Maybe it's a simple thing, but you can't say it's okay to do because it's for you. I hopefully can give you the courage and the permission to do something for yourself. And whether that's make this arrangement today, or that's design a wreath just for you, and don't just take what's left over and didn't sell. Make something outstanding for yourself. Like, go over budget on yourself. You know what I mean? Give yourself permission to do that. Because, no, we only live once. We only get the ability to do all this for so long. And sometimes when you're in the midst of the hustle, the midst of the grind of life or business, you forget to take care of you. And I bet if you treat yourself to something special, you're going to be able to serve your customers, your family, even your job, your coworkers. You're going to be such a better employee, such a better husband or wife or daughter, because you're getting to do a little bit of what you love too. And you don't get too lost in the grind where you forget about you. So I say all that just to help inspire you, because I am so guilty of it. It's not even funny that if it's not revenue generating, sometimes I don't even do it for myself because of how I feel that I'm not worthy. And you guys, we're all worthy. We're all worthy, Blue Merinos. All of us. We're worthy to have beautiful homes. That doesn't mean you have to spend a lot, but give yourself permission to have a pretty craft room, to have an organized space to create in, to not feel guilty about buying beautiful containers or shelving to have your supplies on. Like, make your space beautiful, make your home the way you want it. And it's okay to spend time on that. And I hope if that message helps you out some, that you share it along with another friend, inspire them to get excited about what they're doing and what they're creating, and not always being about the grind. Sometimes it needs to be about you and what you love. Because I tell you what, when you sit back for a second and you enjoy the process, it's amazing, like how much more you'll get done when you give yourself permission to take care of you. You know, it's okay, and you can take care of you. And thanks for letting me make this with you today. This is even more stunning than I ever expected it to be. We crushed it, and I know you can make this too. This is going to be gorgeous on a side table, but I think it also would crush in a bathroom. You could even put, like, tuck in a little Spanish moss down here and put a little bit of lavender oil on it. And you know what? People will be sniffing this puppy. They would be like, ooh, smells so good. I told you we were going to do it. We crushed it. And don't forget, give yourself permission to make something beautiful for you. Treat yourself to a special day that's all about you, and take time out for that, because without you, there can't be your business, your family, your job. All of that cannot improve without you taking care of yourself. So this is our whole color palette we're going to use, and the supplies we're going to use to make this wreath. So grab your fishtail ferns, and we will do those first. Now, you also need a little Spanish moss to cover up the mechanics, and we'll have our glue pot right here close by. With the fishtail fern, what I like to do is just go ahead and push these up a little, so you get about 5 inches down here, and then just cut that down to 2. Just like in design school, I walk you through step by step. I'm going to show you today so you can easily prep your greenery for your wreath base. And I'm just pushing that up, and we'll trim it 2 inches on this. You guys, 26 years experience creating wreaths and selling them helps me show you how to make things quickly and efficiently. Whether you want to make them for your home or you want to come join us in business coaching and learn how to become a seller as well. Either way, I'm going to show you step by step how to create. Greenery is going to, what we call set the perimeter. So I'm going to start to put where I want my tallest piece to be, and then I'm going to work back from there. And when we're going in the grapevine, I've got a lot of glue on there. Anytime you can see the glue, you're going to come in and add some Spanish moss to it. Okay, I'm just going to get a little moss ball, and that helps secure it in there really nicely and holds the glue in place. I'm going to keep working back towards the center. And then we're going to talk about the direction change. So when you get to a certain point on your wreath, you're going to have a direction change in which things are going to come down. We call that the transition point. So you've got to think about that on your piece when you get ready to shift. All right. So we're still going up right now, but I think my transition is going to work right around here. And if that's the case, what I'm going to do is keep working down, and then I'll switch direction. Okay. So just give that a little rotation. And now we're going to do the same thing. Repeat the process that we have up above the transition right here below. Okay, so this is repeating that. You get the drift, but this is the kind of things I teach you in design school step by step with each project in each season. And then you have an access to a database when you first join of 24 videos. And after you've been here 6 months, then we give you access to the whole portal, which is over 250 videos now of step-by-step instruction, and they all have clickable supply lists where you can add those things right to your cart and immediately get the supplies you need to make what we're making. Okay, you see I'm working on the bottom half of the transition, so just coming in down here, we're going to rotate that. That's right where our transition point is, or our bow zone. So you can see these are all identical placement. Those two, those two, those two. So now I need to do this one, which is right here. So when you set that perimeter of the greenery, it really, really helps you be able to know exactly where everything's going to go, and you've got a nice symmetry going. Even though we're just working on one side of a wreath, there's symmetry involved because these match these, if that makes sense. Okay. So now let's go on and grab our next supply we need to put in, which is our big floral bush. This big honker floral bush has to go in next. And I am going to keep this greenery. It's a little bit more olivey, but I think it looks pretty in contrast. So push it up by the leaves. Just push each one of those up. And then we're going to trim these off to about 5-inch stems so we can give them a little bit of motion. So just start to trim them all off, the whole bush. Now you need to collect them and kind of collate them into colors, because we need to know exactly how many we have of each color. So here's the coral burgundy ones. Here's the cream ones. These are fillers right here. These are just greeneries. A little cream hydrangea. There's a couple of those in there. There's another filler. So you know that you want to be able to make 2 clusters for the top and 1 cluster for the bottom. So if I do that, I can just go like this. I can separate them right out. And we know we can do 2 clusters for the top and 1 for the bottom. And then one can have the cream bud and one can have the white bud. And these are a little bit more floral, so we'll have one at the top right here, one at the bottom here, and then we'll save this one for the additional top one, and we'll mix it with a hydrangea. So you're going to make your own little clusters. Now you don't have to take and use a pick machine or anything like that. I don't teach you to use that. I like to keep it super simple and eliminate steps in the process. So we're going to make our cluster on the wreath. Okay, so here we go. We're going to bring our big peony in first and just bend that head up. Right beside it, I'm going to go more to the inside with the coral. Right here, beautiful. And then our bud can, or this one's going to have, this one's going to have the hydrangea. The hydrangea can back a little bit behind. So you're making your own little cluster right here when you put it on, okay? Look how beautiful. And oh, so elegant and pretty already. Now get in there with your moss. We got to cover any of that glue that we've just used. If you've got an opening in your wreath where the gap is a little loose, when you put it in, you might use a little more moss to hold it in place. Okay, our first cluster's in. Now we're ready for cluster number 2, right around here. And we've got them laid out over here to the side. So we're going to put it in also. And I'm going to take and give that stem a little bend. We're going to go right in here. Okay, beautiful. Number 1's going in. And let's put number 2 right beside it. And I'm going into the glue right next to me. Beautiful. And then we're going to put number 3 right here. This one has the bud. Isn't that pretty? And then those are nicely clustered together. That's important that they're staying clustered for the whole design that we're creating. Okay, now let's come down here to the bottom. Below the transition, we've got our last cluster here. And I'm going to place it in also. And it's going to go a little bit. We're leaving a little space in here in case you want to put a bow. If you don't want to put a bow, you could just place the flowers tighter to the center. Every time I do a tutorial in design school, I give a stopping point because sometimes you might want to stop because of your budget. If you're a seller, what is my end price I want to have this at? If I put more, it's going to elevate it to a new price range, that type of thing. Or you're just your budget for your client, or your particularly personal budget. So I've got 2 above the bow zone and 1 below. You can see the symmetry still kind of continues, and I've got a line working down the middle, and that's exactly what I want. So now it's time to grab our next greenery. This is going to be our filler. It's going to fill in between all of those. We're going to cut this right down into sections, and we're going to use this in between. This one, you can trim it down shorter if you want, or you can go leave it long like I'm going to use, okay? Well, you do got to give those some motion. You got to make them moving up. Depth and dimension mean higher prices for your finished project and a higher demand for your work because it's good quality. And so we utilize the wires. Anything you get from KeleasDesignSchoolDotCom will be a higher quality. We try to have it just a little bit higher quality so it stands out and you're able to command a higher price. The neatest thing is they're much easier to work with when they have all these great wires. It's a couple of shorter ones. Let's use this shorter one in the back here. Okay, we got a lot of the greenery put up here to the front, and then we're going to put our next one. Oh, pretty. Make sure you're hitting that glue with the moss. Now let's look on the bottom part now. Move it up a little. And let's take our longest piece and kind of come in between these 2 right here. Push that into the grapevine, give it a little motion up. I love that. And then we'll go on the other two sides of this cluster. So we're leaving a little spot for the bow, but you don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to do no bow, remember, you're just going to shrink it all together. All right, she's looking good, y'all. Look at her beautiful flow. Now it's time to come in with our boho rose. That's going to add a bunch of color and really get a little bit more of that mauve color going. So this one cuts easily into 3 pieces. I'm going to do that right now. And depending on the length you want to use this, in your piece, I can separate it again. So if we want more distribution, we can take and separate these into twos also to kind of get a little bit more going around. If you really like this piece, you can always modify the recipe and you want more of this, just add 2 bushes to your supply list. So when you're going to look at a supply list at KeleasDesignSchoolDotCom, you can modify, you know, obviously you could be like, hey, I want more of the boho rose in there. Every supply list, guys, has links, and the cool thing is then you can come in and watch the full video if you really want to make it. You can order the supplies from the quick video, but we've done all the hard work for you. We've done all of that. And when you're in design school, your supply lists are password protected, so you get first dibs to the new supplies and the new material, and kind of makes it exclusive to you. And that helps really set you apart. I'm gonna put this one here. So we're just adding in touches of that boho rose and the burgundy. And I've got one more piece we're gonna put in right here. This is a little bit longer one. Okay, let's just tuck that one in. There's a big grapevine here. Got a lot of stuff there, but I think I can get it. Yes. And once again, utilize that beautiful wire in there. So look, it's so pretty. I love these. And these can go all year long. Okay, you can see our shape is coming together great. We've got a good flow going. We've left our bow zone open. So let's go ahead and tie the bow, and then we'll get it put in. Make it super easy. The 3-loop blows add a lot of movement to your piece, and so that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to start off just by dovetailing this first cut. You make that little V cut in the end, and I'm going to do about 24 inch tail just to get a lot of momentum. And then you can just take and twist your ribbon right here. Just hold it tight and twist. You get a nice strong twist, okay? And then hold that with 2 fingers. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to pull this out, and we're going to go ahead and make a couple of loops. And you want them to be kind of floppy and loopy. And I'm going to take and just pleat that up a little. This is 6 to 7 inches is good. That's kind of the sweet spot. Crease it and then, you know, kind of gather it, then twist it. Now I'm going to do another one. Now this is a beautiful bow itself right here. With the floppy type bow was trending. This is still wired, but you could keep a really natural bow if you wanted to stop here and just do 2 loops, 2 matching tails. Beautiful, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to twist and we're going to go for another loop. So just extend that ribbon out a little bit more, and we're going to go for a 3rd loop. So the reason we put the twists in is it helps the bow from coming apart. So you're going to have 2 on one side and 1 on the other with both tails coming out that side. Okay, so we started with a tail, then a loop, then the other 2 loops. Now let's cut this one just a little bit shorter. So I'm going to come in here and cut it. And we're ready to go ahead and tie this bow off. So come on in with your cable tie. And you can use a wire too. If you're going to do wire, 18 gauge is perfect for bows. 22 goes in the back. We're going to use cable tie so we can get it nice and tight. And then just kind of fluff it up before you're done tightening it. See, I can kind of manage my twist and see my tails coming down kind of asymmetrical. I love that. Now come in the back and add your cable tie back here. Just going to slide that under. And you're just gonna get that really tight. Really tight. And that's why I like cable ties with like this jute ribbon, because they can get tighter than a wire. Okay, now take and let's fluff it out. Let's have these 2 kind of trail down together really pretty. And because this is wired, look how I can fluff it all up. Alright? And then we'll be putting this in our wreath. The only thing you want to do is if you don't have a flower to cover that center, the easiest piece of ribbon I put in there is I just cut my own. Just take and cut. Don't go too short, even though you don't need a lot, it's hard to manipulate it. So go about 10-12 inches, cut you a little strip. And I just fold it to the width I want it. And that also cleans up any rough edges, just like that, okay? Fray on that ribbon. Look how pretty right in the center. Now come in and pop a couple of knots in. And there it is. Now it's time to put our bow on. And we left that little area open for the bow. So we'll just move this to the side and we're gonna clip it right in with the cable tie. And I like the longer tail to go to the outside and the shorter tail to go to the inside. You can certainly play with that and do in a different way if you want to, but we're gonna just run this cable tie through here and get it nice and tight. And then you just want to clip off that little bit of an end, and when you clip it off you can get it just a little bit tighter usually. Alright, great. Now I'm going to shape up the tail. I want this one to kind of run underneath. Isn't that pretty? And this one will run kind of this way. Now we're not quite done. We need to fill in a little of this area around the bow with our extra greenery and our little bit of floral pieces we have left. So what I'm going to do with this white hydrangeas like the one we have up there is I'm going to use it right here at the bottom of the bow. So let's just take and give it a little bend, and we'll have it come out the bottom. And I got a little blue on there, just push that right into here. And that little piece can just tuck in nicely into there and fill in kind of under the ribbon as it's kind of curling out. Oh, you know what? We never dovetailed the other tail, so we can do that now. And you can take and use the wires to do all kind of fun movements with this ribbon, scrunch it up. It's really fun. Now I'm going to take some of the pieces of this greenery that we have left and take and shorten it up to little short clusters. So you just grab it, pull it a little bit short, and we're going to use the little short clusters in by the bow. So we're going to pop one up here, let that one close. There we go. Kind of over to the side. How about one right in here too? So you're going to work your way around your wreath while you're doing this to kind of fill in those zones that need it and give them a little bend forward. Let's put one right here, and that kind of, in design school we call that breaking the plane. It breaks the plane of the other floral and gives that, once again, we're working on dimension when we're doing that. So that's why you don't want these shooting off just so far, but we want them tight into the to the base now. We're gonna come right here and layer that one on top. Y'all, if you love this kind of design, you want to learn more of how to make these own pieces for your home to make your home just gorgeous. We do centerpieces, swags, garlands, even some Christmas trees, tree toppers, all that fun stuff for every season of the year in our class. Come join us at KeleasDesignSchoolDotCom. And we have step-by-step tutorials that are literally step-by-step, so you can watch them as many times as you want to be inspired to create your own project. All the projects have clickable supply lists, so you're able to come in and just make them exactly as pictured, or you can take the supply list and use it as reference. So for your next project you're going to make, maybe you're going to make it for a different season, so you want to use some different colors, but you have that guideline to go by. This is my last little piece, and I'm going to put it in right here. And y'all, we did it. We did it. This turned out just stunning. It is a gorgeous cottage wreath, beautiful muted color tone that you can use really all year long, but it is beautiful. You could use it in your home as well, you guys. So try this out. We'd love to have you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you're watching, because you can make this too. I know you can.